I'm going to share some thoughts with you about how to overcome fear. First of all, it's important to understand where fear is coming from. So each person can manifest fear in a different expression. For example, someone may have a fear of flying, a fear of heights, maybe a fear of rejection, fear of public speaking, fear of failure, fear of success, or fear of death maybe. So there's lots of different ways that we can experience fear. And fear is a limitation. It is like a grip that prevents us from really manifesting the life that you might want. And so the way that I view it is that all fear essentially is one. There's one fear, and it's the fear of the unknown. And that unknown can express itself in any number of different ways. The ultimate fear really being the fear of death. That's sort of the great unknown, which is what lies on the other side. And how do we have these fears? Well, essentially the fear comes from our education, what we learn, and ultimately what we believe, which is influenced by our learning, especially in our formative years as children, what we're taught, and we tend to accept these teachings as truth, and so we take on these beliefs. And so really want to focus on the fear of death, because if you can overcome the fear of death, you can essentially face any fear. All fear is fear of the unknown. What sometimes is referred to as hatred is actually a fear as well. And if you take like a gross example of hatred, that would be something like racism, where an individual will have hatred towards another person that they don't even know, because maybe that person is of a different culture, a different religion, or a different color, and they don't understand. The person has no frame of reference, so they actually fear that person. They see the difference in that person. This goes into the idea of duality, and I spoke about that last week. I gave a talk about the unity mindset, so differentiating unity from division. And so ultimately, if we have this divisive mindset or this dualistic mindset where we see other rather than seeing ourselves in another, then fear can be manifested from that differentiation. And so really, when we can learn to come to terms with the idea of what we call death, that's the ultimate fear. If you don't fear death, you're not going to fear anything. You're going to be able to overcome or face any fear. And so life and death actually are companions. They are always side by side. At any moment, we can be alive or maybe we're not alive. So they're always side by side, and we don't know exactly how much time we have here on this earth plane or when our expiration is going to be. And so death is the idea about death, or what we're typically taught about death, is really one of the greatest lies, or one of the greatest misunderstandings. And what I'm here to tell you is that there's no such thing as death. Death is a concept, but in reality there is no death. There's what we call physical death. So when the body stops breathing, we call that death. However, if we forget about concepts of religion or spirituality and we just look at energy, we look at, say, quantum physics, Energy can be neither created nor destroyed. So energy exists, it can transform, it can metamorphosize, but it doesn't stop. So our life is an expression of energy. And the other side of our earthly existence, we call that death. So when someone that we know or someone that we care for, a family member, a loved one, or someone famous that we don't know but we know of, when that person dies, those of us that are still here, we feel sorrow, we feel pain, we miss that person, and we suffer. However, that suffering is really for ourselves. If someone you love dies and you are in pain, that pain is your pain. It's not the person who died. The person who died doesn't feel pain anymore. In fact, what we experience as pain and suffering, we experience in the physical form. This is a physical manifestation. So if you're in pain and you die, you don't have pain anymore. You don't have any body to experience the pain. So you're pure consciousness at this point in time. So really, there's no such thing as death. There is a ending to our existence on the physical plane, and yet something happens. Now, what happens, I don't know. I probably don't know anything. Socrates said, I know nothing, right? So the only thing we can reasonably know is our experience. And we can have ideas and we can have beliefs and we can have opinions, but it's really speculation. What we know is sort of limited to the sensory world. So we can see it or taste it or touch it or smell it, hear it. So we can experience the physical world through our senses, and we say, I know that this is a shirt, or I know that this is black and this is white. Okay, but we can't really know what exists on the other side of this physical experience that we call life. And so if you have fear, understand that whatever fear you're experiencing is really a fear of the unknown. You're uncomfortable with this experience because you don't have any experience. Maybe you've never gave a speech before, so you're fearful about giving a speech, or you feel embarrassment, or maybe you fear rejection, so you don't go up and talk to that really interesting person that you want to talk to, but you're so fearful of that person brushing you off that you don't take the opportunity. Or there's some goal or some dream that you're after, but you're afraid of failure, so you don't go for it. And so fear is really a limitation. I don't know that he was the original, but obviously John F. Kennedy said, we have nothing to fear but fear itself. So really fear is the limitation. And when we can understand that this fear is coming from fear of unknown, and the ultimate unknown is what we call death. And we understand that there is no death. There's simply transformation. You're liberated. You're free. And now you can really live. You can go after what you want in life. You can express yourself. And you can achieve fulfillment. So give some thought to that. As always, any comments, questions, agreements, or disagreements, feel free to leave any comments. Wishing you lots of success.